welcome to the February 2022 Marquee Tech demo. This demo is probably going to take anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes. I will link key features in the bottom so you can jump ahead throughout the demo if you don't want to see the start of it or you want to skip straight to the end or somewhere in the middle. So we are on the main dashboard here, as you can see. Our system is of course cloud-based, which means it works on any device, phone, laptop, Windows, MacBook, etc. And it also means it works wherever you are. So you can work from home, you can work on the move, you can work on site and so on, which obviously gives you a huge benefit of being stuck in the office, because if a customer calls up and you need to make a quote or make a change to an invoice, you have all the information you need from your fingertips. For example, if I scroll down, we've got a search bar and I can search by last name. You could search by county, whether you're in America or Canada, states or province. You can do by zip code or postcode, marquee type, any bit of information that's attached to someone's quote, booking or invoice, you can find them. So if I scroll back up, you're going to see a list of lots of different features which we're going to work through throughout this demo. One thing that I just want to say just before I kick off and start quoting is the way in which I am going to demonstrate a lot of the features might be completely different to how you would use the system. We work with a massive range of marquee and tent rental companies, from suppliers who will only put out one tent on a weekend to suppliers who do 100 tents, and we also work with TP companies, temporary structure companies, yurt companies, and so on. So there's lots of ways in which you can use our system. The way in which I'm going to demonstrate might not necessarily be the exact same way you'll use it or you currently do certain processes. So don't let that be a put off, because we would create this account for your company and then we'll tweak it so it's working exactly for you. Okay, so we're going to start with customer facing features like quotes and floor plans. And one of the biggest benefits of our system is, of course, a tool to streamline your business, but it's also a great selling tool. And that is because it's ridiculously fast at sending quotes out to customers and doing floor plans. And also when we get into the quote, they look very, very modern, which will again help you sell. So let's start by adding a customer. Nice and simple at this stage. We add an email. Even if it's a company, a name, email, and number if you have it. And if it's a company and they need the billing address on the invoice, that's how you can do it. This gives us a nice little shortcut as well. Once we add that customer into the system, we get a Google Maps link here, which we can now click through and find out where that company is. So now we're going to start our first quote. So nice big button. Click here, and then this will take us through to the event information page. And some people will actually use this as a sales script. So they will build quotes over the phone with customers. So that shows just how fast the system is. You don't have to do that, but if you wanted to, you could now be on the phone with a customer talking about their event. So if it's for a wedding, you might call this wedding quote. If they have a zip or postcode for their site, once you put that in, it will tell you straight away how far away it is in either miles or kilometers, and it will also give you a price as well. We can change that price per mile, and once you get into the quote, you can also change that price for the delivery, because obviously every single job is unique. By the way, that cost, the currency will be in wherever you are in the world. So Aussie dollars, Canadian dollars, Swedish krona, I think it is, wherever you are, we'll change it for your currency, and you can choose whether you want to see dimensions in meters or feet, and then also miles, kilometers, and so on. One other thing as well I'll talk about with translation: if you're in the States or Canada and you don't know what a marquee is, it is what we call a tent in the UK. Okay, so we have some of our customer management up top here. Sales probability, we have low to high, but we can change this. So you might have quote stage, like visit stage, second quote stage, and so on. We also have all these different booking types, and again, we can update this to whatever you want it to be. Later on within the demo, I'll show you how you can filter by both of those through our quotes report. You could do day guests and night guests. You could put a date in. So we'll do July the 2nd. You can then look, you can put the date, for a week, for a couple months, or just the actual weekend. Now we get another alert. It will tell us how many bookings and how many quotes we have on that date or in that date range. And if I want to, I could go into this report and this will just give me a summary of what we've quoted for and what the people have booked. We'll put in a setup date as well. And again, that could be over multiple days or just one day. And just in case you're wondering, all the information I'm putting in right now is optional because, as you're probably aware, sometimes customers won't have a date or a site yet when they make an inquiry. We could put in a secondary contact information, so maybe this will be for father of the bride, or if it's like a corporate event, the budget person. And now we can also put in a follow-up task. So this is a great tool for one, staying on top of jobs, and also two, following up with your leads. So it might be something like on the second or third, we need to organize ordering a generator for the event. So make sure you phone the generator company and so on. When I hit next, that task gets added to your calendar, and then on the day, you'll get an alert to do whatever it is that you've put in. Or maybe it's a follow-up task, so instead of being like, I don't know, call the generator company, it might be on the first, call customer and organize a site visit. And again, once I hit next, that task will be added to your calendar. And you can make as many tasks as you like for each customer, and they'll go onto your calendars, and then you can just be 100% sure you're following up with your leads more successfully, and also you're doing important stuff like ordering generators like we just went through. In case you just noticed a damage waiver and you think we don't do this, don't worry, you don't have to have a damage waiver, and it could be, if you do, it could be any percent that you want. So let's go through now to the quote. So you have a couple options at this stage. You can curate a massive library of sample quotes, and then you could choose the quote that's going to work best for this inquiry. So maybe it was for 125 guests, so you could add that one in, and then maybe change the tables and chairs to hit 125. Alternatively, what we could do is create a brand new quote for the customer, which is what we're going to do in this demo. So let's jump through to Marquees. And by the way, for your account, you would just see the tents that you have. So whether you have TPs, frame tents, and so on. We're just going to do a 9-meter clear span. So all I need to do is click this plus button. I'm also going to change the description to make it really bespoke for this one customer. Okay, so let's jump through to chairs. Let's put in 120 Chivaris. And of course, everything you see here would look a little bit different because we would create this depending on your stock, your categories. If you're still on the phone with this customer, you could then, of course, be going through all of these categories. So we'll put in some table options, we'll put in a dance floor, and so on. What you can do as well is change the layout of this quote form. So you'd have all your different categories here. You can remove some, you can add others, and then you can move them up and down so it's in the exact quote format that you want. I'm going to jump now to this section here because this is where the system gets quite smart, especially for clear span or frame tents. So as you can see here, it is a 9 by 3 meter and we have an alert. And that's because we have a negative amount of space. The reason the system knows that there's a negative amount of space is because when we add tables, a dance floor, a stage, it will calculate how big those items are, and then it's going to suggest to the user how many bays you want. This is a great tool for if you have a new member of staff or you want to hire someone soon that doesn't have previous tent hire experience. This will help ensure that they are accurately quoting for tents that are big enough. So it's saying we need at least 4 bays, which as you can see here is 9 by 15 or a 30 by 50 foot. We could now put in, I don't know, linings. Let's put in some boarded floor and some carpet. And if I wanted to make it into 8 bays now, the price for the tent, the floors, the linings will all automatically go up, and also the stock in the back end is going to change as well as your load list. So these tick boxes here will represent the bays in the frame, and obviously for certain tents like TPs and so on, you won't have bays, but we're just going to do an example for a clear span at the moment. So with these bays, what I could do is click configure and then remove the carpet from the last bay because that's where I will put a catering section. Another tool we can use that for is by removing linings from the roof when we want to put clear ceiling panels in, because there's no point in having clear ceiling panel throughout the tent if we also need clear ceiling panels. So we can click configure and then just simply untick the bays where we want to put the clear ceiling panels, which will again update the price as well as the stock. We could also automate that process with what we call stock rules, which sounds complicated, but they're really not a Marquee tech. You don't need to be able to create code or formulas. We call them storyboard stock rules because you kind of type in what you want to happen. So here is a similar example. It is saying when I quote for a 9-meter clear span and I add clear ceiling panels, the same number, so a ratio of 1:1 of PVC roofs need to be removed from the load or the picking list and put back into stock. Other rules might be more simple ones like every 4th or 5th bay we need more scissors and roof wires, or it might be what happens if you put a door in, what happens if you put a door next to the left gable or the right gable, and so on. And we'll give you lots of support and training on how to create these rules. Once you get the hang of it, it's really, really easy to create new ones. And what that will do is just ensure that no matter how complicated a job gets or a quote gets, every single item or component that's needed for the event is going to be on the load list. Okay, if you wanted to, we're back in the quote now, as you can see. If you ever need to update the stock price when you're quoting, you can always do that because obviously every job's different. We're going to add in some lighting, and as you can see, that's a sub-hire item, and I'll show you how we can send purchase orders from the system. So we can send a purchase order to say we need this chandelier on this date at this event. But before we do that, we're going to go through to the quote. Okay, so we have customer notes up top here. This can be used for internal notes, such as if it was a corporate client, you might put in the budget person's name. But it's also great for notes on site. So for example, you might do a site visit and then you can record all the notes like access the site using the south entrance. So we've recorded these notes during our site visit, and then what we could do is add that to the load list. So in a year's time, when you could go to do the build, you've got all of those important notes to hand on the load list. You have follow-up tasks. Here we've got floor plans, which we'll come back to in a second. One little tool you can actually use this for is upload an image of the site. And instead of attaching it to a quote, what we could do is, again, like we did with the notes, is attach that to, let me find it, attach that to the load list. Because you know what it's like, you can do a job, or a site visit rather, and you have to do that job in a year's time. You can completely forget where the tent needs to go. So take a picture. Now you can upload it and add it to the load list. And like I said, I'll come back to floor plans in a second. Same with invoices. And here we are, we're in the quote now. So we can add more items to the quote by clicking up here and searching for stock. We can also just type in any stock item, so maybe a large labor charge, for example. We can also add quote titles. So if we go into the quote title, you could say furniture, for example, and then you can drag that to where it needs to go. So as you can see on some of these, well, pretty much all of the line items, we have some stock warnings. So we'll jump into this stock warning for the chair. Okay, so we have 250 Chivari chairs in stock. 360 have been booked by these customers, which means we're minus 110. So we can still book this out. The system's not going to prevent you from booking it out. And then you can always, buy more chairs or maybe even sub-hire them in. Or you can search for the category of chair using the search bar at the top. And then you can see what else you have available on that date. And as we can see, we've got wooden fold-in or even some crossbacks. And that just allows you to maximize and get all of your stock out rather than having to sub-hire kit in. But more importantly than stock working at a unit level, it will also work at a component level. So dance floors, linings, stage, and of course the structure itself. So if I go into this stock warning, you can see the components that we've allocated in the back end. It looks like we're running quite low. So if I click shortages only, and you can see that we're nearly out of PVC roofs in this weekend. We've only got one more available, and we're out of all of this kit. So at the moment, we can't do this job. We might be able to try and make the Marquee maybe one size smaller, but that doesn't really look like it's going to make a big difference. Alternatively, we could use the date picker, and then maybe look at a couple weekends before. Maybe this customer can book then instead. And it looks like on the 18th and the 25th we do have availability. Or like we did for the chairs, we could search for a completely different tent type. So let's look at the 4x giant hat TP, unclick shortages, and now I can see all of the components that are needed for this job on the second are available. So we have no bookings yet for the TP, so maybe we can persuade this customer to book for that tent. You could do the same as well though. If you only offer frame or clear span, you could also just search for your different size. So we could search for a 12 meter in there. Okay, so this quote is done. What we're going to do now is quote for a slightly more complicated job, and we're going to pretend that's more for a festival. And I'm going to actually do two things when I do that. One is I want to show you that you can simply duplicate quotes by clicking more and duplicate, and we'll do that for this quote because that's great for wedding and private customers, because often you might want, you might have a customer that wants the same quote but maybe different tables or chairs. Or what we'll do for this one is we're going to give them a TP. So we just go through to TP. Only thing we need to change is the different floors, because obviously there's a different stock with floors in TP than it would be for flooring for TPs than it would for a frame. So we can add that in, and then we could also put in, let's say, a lighting package. So in less than 30 seconds, you've now got two quotes for this wedding or corporate customer to compare. What we'll do now though is start that festival or big corporate event quote which we mentioned earlier. We'll skip the event information, and now we're through to the marquee section. So we could go through now, and let's say the customer has called up and they have asked for, they've got a list of quotes, a list of marquees that they need for their event, which is 4x TPs. They're going to need that. They also want a 20 meter, a 12 meter, and a 9 meter. And of course, depending on the inquiry, you could just keep adding in all the different marquees that are required for the event. What you could do at this stage is then change the descriptions. So you might say this is for the dining. You might say this is going to be the entrance ticket marquee, or it might be like the bar tent. And then we'll call this one, I don't know, the food tent. So we're going to change the description at this stage because it's going to make the quote building process much easier for you. But also when you send the quote to a customer, they're going to understand the names of each tent rather than just seeing 12 by 24 or 40 by 80 foot. So let's jump through to the quote. So if I wanted to now, so as you can see, look, I'm in 4x TP. So if I wanted to add in, let's say 5 round tables, I can do that really quickly. But what I can also do is go to change marquee and then jump into the next tent. So now we're in the entrance tent, and then you could add in whatever table options you need for that structure. Or we can jump straight to the section where we add the floors and the additional sizes. I'm going to go back to change marquee and put a TP in, put in your floors, whatever lighting you want. So let's say we're going to have 2 chandeliers in these TPs, and then just repeat that process. Change marquee, entrance tent, put in whatever linings you want and the size that you need it to be. And we'll do the same for the bar tent. And as you can see, it's very easy to build complicated quotes for complicated jobs that have multiple structures, all of which are different sizes, that carry different floor options, different lining options, and so on. So let's pretend that this quote is now done. We'll skip through to the quote, scroll down to the bottom, and here we can see it's all broken down. We have these big blue line items, big blue highlighted areas, so you can see each tent within the quote. If I wanted to now add a bar in, let's say we forgot to add the bar when we were quoting, all you need to do is add it, and then you can simply click, drag and then drop that to where it needs to be. Okay, so we're going to go on to what the customer sees in just a second. What we're going to do first though is just make sure that one of these quotes is profitable. To do that, it's really simple. You go to edit quote, you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, and you can see there's a button that says add costs. This is just like the stock and the tents we have in the system. This is just a dummy setup. we would create this cost calculator with you guys depending on the cost that you want to see. So here we can see we can add in staff. So let's say we're going to have 3 guys, 1 agency, and then maybe 1 foreman. We're going in 3 vehicles. We'll do the same for the takedown. You can also have costs. So for bigger events, if you ever need to hire in any plant hire, so maybe like a telehandler, you can have those sort of costs. Commission costs. You can have carpet or floor costs. So if you buy brand new carpet, the system will work out how many square meters or square foot you're going to need, but you can always override that. And if you want, we can actually, like we have for the plant hire and some of this furniture, we can attach companies to carpet or floor options. So you can also send a purchase order straight from the system, say, look, we need 247 square meters of red carpet on this date. Okay, we're going to put in a generator, and like we just talked about, we're getting that from Devon Power, and I'm going to send a purchase order to them in a second. We could either do it as a fixed cost, or we can do ad hoc pricing. So you can type in the cost it's going to be. It's not just sub-hire contract. If you do dry hire any metal work when maybe you're down on a couple legs or bays of a marquee, we could also put in the companies that you work with, so you can quickly dry hire when on weekends when you need extra kit to do jobs. Okay, so let's go through to the summary and make sure that this job is going to be profitable. Okay, so if I scroll down to the bottom of the quote, actually, and then click here, sorry, I'm in the quote summary here. We click here and then scroll down to the bottom of the quote. We will get a brief summary of our costs for setup and the takedown. And then as I can see, our cost of sale is 4,000, well, nearly 4,400 quid or dollars, depending where you are. And we have a 32% profit margin, which is 2,700. So we might do that and we're only making 10% or 20%, or maybe we're doing 30 and we want to start hitting a 40 or 50% profit margin. So what we could do is look at our target sales price on the right hand side and go, okay, if we want to be hitting our 40 or 50%, we need to be pricing at this amount. So if we now scroll up, we can then charge more for maybe the delivery and then maybe for the actual structure itself. Let's see if that makes a bit of a difference. Let's do 1,500. That'll probably make a bit bigger dent. Scroll down to the bottom, and okay, cool. So now we've got a 44% profit margin. So this is a great exercise to do for like big jobs where you know there's going to be a lot of costs involved, but also every now and then it's great to do for just bread and butter type jobs, just to be sure that your profit margins are being hit, especially now that staff costs are going up, vehicle costs are going up, manufacturing costs are going up, tent hire seems to be staying the same. So it's really, really important that everyone is more aware of their costs and their profit margins. Okay, so we're going to send a purchase order now. You might call that something a little bit different where you are, but this is how we can send off an order to a sub-hire or cross-hire company to say we need this kit on this date. So if you remember, I added in a generator into the cost calculator who I am getting from Devon Power. And as you can see, the delivery address has come across. We also get a Google Maps link, which of course we can hide. We just need to put in a date. We can put in additional notes for the person, so maybe the site contact. And then below, the generator that we added into the cost calculator has been pre-populated. We can update the price because sometimes you need to charge more depending where that customer is. We can put in a delivery date and time and a collection date and time. I'm going to click create, and if we wanted to, we can add as many different items into this purchase order, and then you can send it to the supplier that you're working with as a PDF or as a digital link. Digital link would look like this. Of course, it will have your logo on the top, site information, the notes, and then what you need from that company. What we're building quite soon is the ability as well for the supplier to respond to this by clicking buttons that will say, yes, we can do it, no, we can't, or give us a call. Whichever one that they click on, you'll be sent an email, plus it will trigger an alert in your purchase order report, so you can quickly go in and see what's been ordered and confirmed, what's been ordered and not confirmed, and so on. Okay, so we are going onto the customers view now. I'm just going to get rid of some tabs so I don't get confused. Awesome. Okay, so this is the customers events dashboard where you can find all of the quotes that you've created as well as invoices. And what we're going to do is click more, add dashboard, on these two. So these are the two quotes we're going to send. The reason I did that is so your customer can view both of these quotes on their unique dashboard link, which we're going to go on to in just a second. Just in case you're wondering, you don't have to send quotes online. You can always download them as a PDF and attach them into an email for your customers. A lot of suppliers in our system will do just PDFs, some will do just digital links, and then a lot will do a bit of a hybrid. They'll do a bit of both depending on the customer. We would definitely recommend doing as many digital quotes as you can, because there is so many benefits of having your quotes online rather than just using a static black and white PDF. One benefit is you can send the quote or the quotes with a click of a button using that button up down there. That will send an email from your email address with your logo and a link to those quotes online. However, that's not very personal, so it's a great little tool for customers that you do a lot of work with. You don't need to be really, really personal and bespoke, but if it's a big event or a wedding or a corporate client and you want to put a bit more detail into the email, what you can do is click Customer Actions, copy dashboard link, and as you can see, it's been copied. You then go into your email and then repeat the process that you're probably doing at the moment. So you'd either type in a brand new message for your customer, or if you have templates like I have here, you could go through and create your template, changing whatever it is that you need to change. So wedding, let's say, and then what I would do is add something like this. Click here to access your quote. So you're going to highlight it. You're going to find a button that says insert link. If you don't use Gmail, it will look a little bit different, but it's basically the same. And then you're going to paste the link into the system. So the only difference is instead of attaching a PDF, you're creating what's called a hyperlink. Now when you send it to a customer, all they need to do is click on this link, and this takes them through to what we call your customer's events dashboard. This is the design that actually comes as standard. We can actually fully customize this design, which I'll show you in a second, so it looks on brand with your colors and you can choose the layout that you want. In fact, I'll show you a little update and I'll jump back into the standard view in a second. Let me just find a new URL. Actually, I'll come back to that in a second. Actually, I could do that right now. Yeah, there we go. That's what I needed. Okay, so if I refresh the page, you can see that we've changed the color of the carpet, the layout's different, and we can do this designs with you. And also you get this view, which is kind of awesome. You've got a table view, which is a great view for customers you do a lot of work with, because they can always come back to their unique dashboard to find all of their quotes, their invoices, their overdue invoices, their unpaid invoices, and so on, because you have all the info they need. So the quote name, so it might be like, I don't know, Wedding Fest 2012, Wedding Fest 2030, and so on. Status, quoted, invoiced, invoice unpaid, and so on, the amount, and so on. So it's great for customers you do a lot of work with. It's also a really nice tool for wedding customers, for example, or private customers, I should say, wedding, party, corporate. Because this page here can be used as a great sales tool. So let's say a customer calls you up and they want to make some changes or they want to talk about the quote. What we would always recommend is say to that customer, look, get your dashboard up on your phone or your computer and we can make changes together. So while you're chatting to them, they would have this up. And let's say the customer says that the wedding quote, the TP quote is just a bit too expensive. What you could do in the back end is just click remove from dashboard. It's not going to delete the quote, it's just going to remove it. And now for the customer, they're just seeing the quote that they're actually interested in, which is of course such a unique and modern way of selling tent hire. Okay, so now a customer can go through to this quote in more detail. And like I said, this is the design that we've created for our own company, but we would be able to fully change this depending on the layout you want to use, what sort of image galleries you want. So we've got like an Airbnb style image gallery where customers can scroll through and see all your HD images, which help massively sell your tents. Or you could just have like scroll images. Some companies don't have any images at all, so it's completely up to you. And of course, you can choose all your colors and so on. We've got nice sales buttons up top, so customers can request site visits or request to book. We can change these and remove them too. Let's scroll down to the bottom. We have our terms and conditions, so you don't forget to send them. Important links, so you could put, stuff like this. 3D walkthroughs, which are kind of cool, courtesy of Marquee company on our system. They let us use this, and they can walk through the 3D floor plan, which is a pretty awesome way of selling your tents. You can also have links to brochures, your website, all your payment information, and so on. Another great feature is you can upload images to stock items. So instead of a customer emailing you when they want to see what your chairs look like or your tables look like, and it can take forever trying to find that image and send it to them, all they need to do is click and then scroll. And as you can see, all the images are super HD. So it's going to really help sell not just your tents, but also your higher products as well. Okay, so the next benefit of these quotes, because they're online, it means you can update them in seconds. And again, this, like I said at the start of the demo, this isn't something you necessarily have to do if you use Marquee Tech. You can always send PDFs. You don't have to update quotes live with customers, but it does demonstrate just how powerful and fast Marquee Tech is. So say, for example, you are doing a site visit with a customer. You're on their field or in their garden. They have the quote up in front of them that you made for them previously, and you find out a 9 by 27 meter is not going to fit in their garden. So while you're on site, you could just get your mobile out or your iPad and make the change there and then, rather than having to drive home that night and do it at midnight or the next day. So I'm going to change 8 bays to 7 bays, and this is going to happen super fast. Give it a couple seconds. Look, now it's a 9 by 24 meter, and the price has been recalculated, not just for the tents, but the floors, the linings, and so on. Then if I wanted to, I don't know, let's just do one more example. Let's say the customer wants a catering tent. Let's go through catering tent. And now for your customer, there you go, line number 10, they've got a catering tent. And this has been a big game changer for a lot of suppliers who are using Marquee Tech, because instead of doing a site visit, saying you're going to update the quote and doing it a few days later because you're busy, they're turning up with an iPad, they're making the updates there and then with the customer, which allows them to be very bespoke, because you can change the quote depending on their budget, their theme. You can go through all of the items that you've quoted for. You can really explain what everything's going to look like, how big the tent's going to be, and it helps suppliers in our system win bookings on a site visit rather than a week later. And obviously, time is a huge killer in sales, because the longer you take to get back to someone, the more chance there is that someone else is going to come and do a site visit or call up that customer and potentially take the booking from you. And again, like I said, you don't have to sell like this. You can always do the PDF route and do updates in a slower way, but this is a very modern way of selling that wedding customers and corporate customers especially love. What we're going to do now is create a floor plan. We have two floor plan tools available. We have a generate one and an upload one, and I'm going to show you both. The generate one, suppliers usually exclusively use this when they first get an inquiry, or if they're on site or on a phone call with a customer, because as you can see, the system will automatically generate the size of the tent, the dance floor that you quoted for, and also the tables. You can delete items, you can move items, and then below we have a product library, and you can add as many of these different items as you like, and then you just simply drag and drop wherever those items need to be, and in less than 30 seconds you have now created a floor plan, which you can then of course add to the quote. So now if I go into the floor plan, give it a couple seconds, here we go. Sorry, if I go back into the quote rather, we now have a floor plan in there. What's really cool as well is if you are on the phone with a customer or you're on site and they say, look, we wanted the clear ceiling panels over the bar area, while you're chatting to them, like we did with the quote, make those updates, hit save. Let's put the poser tables under too. Oh, we've got 3 of them. Let's put that there. Hit save. Now if I go back into the quote, give it a couple seconds, and that's going to automatically update, which is again such a cool modern way of selling that's going to help your customer get really involved with the way that tent's going to look on their big day or their big event. Like I said, we have another tool available, which is an upload one. I won't actually load it up on the demo just because it would take a bit too long. However, as you can see with this tool, you can go into a lot more detail. It doesn't auto generate, but it is drag and drop. It's very fast to create. So this probably took me 2 minutes. As you can see, we've got a tent with a hex end, an entrance marquee, trailer toilets, and so on. You can put where the windows are going, the doors are going, the dimensions. You can change the color of the carpet. You can go into as much detail as you want. And like I said, it probably took me 2 or 3 minutes to create. Once you've made that floor plan, click upload, and then you can simply add it to the quote and to the load list if you want. If you want as well, if you have like really beautiful 3D floor plans that you use or a CAD system that you like, carry on using it, and as long as you save it as a JPEG, you can also upload it onto the quote. Okay, so let's go back into the quote, give it a couple seconds, and the other floor plan should come in as well. I know, sorry, it's a scroll one. I'm on the new one, so you can scroll through to it. So you can add as many as you like in there, and then you can scroll. But what we're going to do now is talk about the invoicing. So at the bottom of this quote, we have a button that says request a book. As you can see, it gets clicked. They can't pay yet. The system would have emailed you as well as the customer. The email that you're sent will take you through to this page, and I know they want this frame tent because there's a credit card icon, and it takes seconds to turn this into an invoice. Scroll down, and we have an invoicing section. We can charge by a fixed amount or by a percent. All I need to do is click more and confirm booking. And that's actually going to take the stock off, which is a great little feature for your customers that book with you every year, but maybe they don't pay until after the event or the day of the event. But you need to tell the system that this stock is going to them. So that's how you can do that. And as you can see, when I click confirm booking, the system will make the traditional deposit and remaining balance invoice. I'm going to turn them both into invoices. And what I could do now is either make this into one payment, or I can create as many payments as I like. So you can create a payment plan or installments for the customer. This is actually something we built during the dreaded lockdowns that we faced here in the UK, because all of our suppliers were putting their kit out on long term, and they needed the ability to be able to bill monthly or weekly and create payment plans rather than just a deposit and remaining balance invoice. So we created this system, and that's actually how we work here at Marquee. We constantly update the system depending on what suppliers are asking for. And as you can see, I've really quickly created all of our installments. You can now put in a due date. The system will then automatically send the invoice on whichever due dates you're putting in, which of course just helps you get paid on time. And it's not just long-term customers that enjoy this feature. It's also wedding customers, corporate customers, party customers. Sometimes people like having the flexibility of being able to do 3 payments or 4 payments instead of 2. And if you can give them that option, it's just another reason why they should book with you rather than a competitor. Talking of booking, if a customer wants to pay, you can download the invoice as a PDF that will have all of your bank details on, and they can do, cash, check, or online banking. Once you have the money, all you need to do is click mark invoice as paid. Another way they can pay, which is an optional way, is with our online card payment system. To enable this, all you need to do is click send to customer. They're now sent the invoice. All they have to do is scroll to the bottom of the page, click pay. This will take them through to the card system, and they simply just put their card details in and then click the pay button. Once that's done, lots of automation will happen. The money gets sent to your account, the booking gets added to your calendar with the setup and takedown dates, and the customer is going to be automatically sent the payment receipt and the paid invoice. And this is one of the ways in which suppliers are winning bookings now during site visits or phone calls, because when a customer is super excited to book with you because you've just given them the best service ever, and they're saying, how do I pay? How do I pay? Just click a button using your phone. They're going to be sent the invoice, and they can put in their card details, or if they've got Google or Apple Pay, they can literally scan their face and it will take payment as well, which is a great way, of just winning bookings a lot faster. But like I said, you've got all options. You can take payment via card. If you don't want to do that, you download the PDF, and then once they pay in whichever way they want to, you then click mark invoice as paid. We've also integrated with accounting softwares such as Xero. The way the integration works with Xero is what you would do is just click create customer in Xero, and that will add that customer straight into Xero. If they're already in Xero, it will just create it will sync the two together. If they're not in that accounting software, it's going to create a brand new customer. Then all you need to do is click add invoice to zero. And then what that will do is link up your invoice numbers. It's going to put in the entire invoice with all the line items and also take off the tax or the VAT, depending where you are. So 2 clicks will automate all of your bookkeeping. We also have a transaction folder, which will help massively with bookkeeping as well. This will put in all your payments, your date the money was paid, or the date the customer paid rather, the amount they paid to you. A lot of suppliers on our system will actually give their accountants or bookkeepers access to this page as well. We have an invoicing report as well, which is quite a good tool for looking back in the past to say you had a very, very busy September. You want to look at the entire month. As you can see, okay, we had 31 invoices, 5 are overdue. So if I go to status and click that twice, and that's put all my overdue customers to the top, all I need to do now is just click send to customer. And now they're sent a email alert to say, hey, look, this payment is still overdue. You could do the opposite and look into the future and maybe see what money you got coming in over the next few months, look at your potential cash flow. We have a quotes report. So let's say we've had a very busy 30 days. Go look at the last 30 days. We can see how many quotes were created, how much potential revenue there is, and then below we've got all of those leads. And we can use these up arrows and down arrows to either put, the most or the closest event date to the top, the highest amount, the highest profit margin, or the best probability of booking. And also we can archive time wasters from here too. It's not going to delete their quote, it's just going to archive them. We have a what's happening report. So a lot of suppliers will use this when a customer calls up and they say, I want a tent on a specific weekend, and you've got the feeling that that's already quite a busy weekend. So let's pretend they want a structure on the 9th. I'm going to hide quotes, so we're just looking at confirmed bookings. And now you can see setup is in blue, green is takedown, and we've got 4 events here. I can show the tents to see what we've already quoted out, and as I can see, it looks like we've got quite a lot of 9-meter kit and quite a big event. I can also click through to stock warnings. I can click through to Google and get directions straight away there. And I've got a radius because it might be you only have 1 or 2 events on that weekend, but the radius you're traveling is so vast, you just can't have, you just don't have the capacity to take on more work. So this in a way is kind of like a digital whiteboard, and this will just allow you at a glance to look what you've got going on and see how busy you are or not busy on certain dates. Okay, so we're going to go into the Analytics Hub, and as you can see, this is at the moment still in beta. So when you join, it probably won't be in beta anymore. But what we're doing at the moment, we've put this live to a lot of suppliers, and we're just getting a lot of ideas and feedbacks on what sort of reports they want to see. Where this will, what the direction we're taking this in is, it will allow us to make pretty much any report you can think of using the data that's already in the system. So easy reports like, putting all your emails putting all your customers into an email list so you can do your marketing campaigns. You want to look at money in per month in 2021 compared to 2022. You could look at what else have we got in here? You could look at all stock issues. So this is quite a good one because you can look at all stock issues and then you can search. So if we want to search for chair, I can find all my different chair stock issues now that I have for my future events, and I can also download this into a spreadsheet and then you can have a play around. We could look at highest grossing postcode or zip codes, which is really useful for a lot of our London customers, or maybe even highest grossing stock item. So at the end of the year, you could download the spreadsheet and you can have a look at what items are making you the most money and what items you could probably sell. Okay, so let's go into our stock management system and I'll briefly explain how we create your account. One of the benefits of our system is we can fully move you onto Marquee Tech in less than a week. So that includes creating your account, allocating components to all of your tents, your floors, your linings, doing your stock rules, doing your quote design, and also importantly, uploading all of your customers, their contact information, their event information, as well as their full quotes and their invoices. To find out more and to find out the charges for that, you need to get in touch with someone from Marquee Tech, and we can go through that all with you in a lot more detail and make it a lot more bespoke for your tents, your company size, and so on. But once we do that, and like I said, we can get that all done in about a week. Usually we work on about 14 days. The first week is getting all of your customers and your contact information and doing all of your data migration and creating your account. And then the next week is training, support, which by the way is completely free, the training and support. And after 14 days, we rarely hear back from suppliers again. Once you're online, the system is very easy to maintain and manage. So you can delete stock, you can add stock, you can change quantities, prices. You can put a weight. That weight is going to appear on your load list. That could be in kg or lb or pounds, depending where you are. That just helps ensure you're not overloading your vehicles. You can also put in a load priority, and this is quite clever because this will dictate your the order of the load list. So if you want chairs to be at the top because they need to be loaded first because they're the last thing that you need on a job, you put them at number 1. And if you want tools or components to be at the bottom of the load list, you put it to 100. So yeah, like I said, once you're online, it's very easy to maintain and manage. Once we've done the full account setup, which I explained earlier, one of the biggest jobs of that is the component allocation. Your tents would look something like this. So components for a 9 meter, we have a starter bay, additional bay, and an end bay. It doesn't matter now what size I make this tent, every component needed will be there. TP will look a little bit different. Instead of having a starter bay, additional bay, you just have a specific quantity of components. And like I said at the start, this works for every single tent type, size. If it's custom built, if it's completely unique, it will work on our system. We don't just allocate components to tents, we also do dance floors, linings, floors, catering tents, and also we create packages too. So here we've got a lighting package that includes uplights, chandeliers, festoon. So we would have allocated which items are needed in that component, as well as all the components and amp leads, sockets, and so on. So once we've done all of that setup, the full setup, which again includes component allocations, stock rules, and customer onboarding, and like I said, we can do that within a week for you guys. And if you want to find out more, please get in touch with us. But yeah, once that's done, the system's at a full stock management system specifically for your company. Then you can start using things like stock report. So if we wanted to look into the future and find out if we have any issues, we can look at all stock, tents only, components only, or we can search. So I'm going to search for PVC. I'm going to go shortages only, and I can see, okay, on the 2nd we're running out of walls and roofs, same on the 9th and also on the 16th. And again, I can see which customers we've booked, or who's booked rather. Okay, what we're going to do now is go into the load list, and then after the load list we are going to wrap this demo up because I know it's been going for quite a long time, so bear with me another few minutes. Okay, so let's go into, we'll look at two. We're going to look at the big festival type quote, and then also the more of the wedding quote. Let's go into that one first. So you remember right at the start of this demo, I put in customer notes, put in images of the site, floor plans, and I also added them all to the load list. So to access the load list, you go to the quote, you click more, then load list. We're going to look at this in category view. And as you can see, you got customer details, delivery details, all the instructions we created at the start. We can add more. We can add more notes in here if we want to as well. Got a Google Maps link which we can hide. And then below we have got everything broken down and they're in their category. And as you can see, linings, chairs, and tables, which I put to load priority number 1, are all at the top of the load list. We have stock warnings which we can click through and check out. So we're -4 on these roofs. We've got weights underneath each category, and then we've got combined weight total at the bottom. At the very, very bottom of the the load list, we've got the image of site and we've got the floor plans. We can adjust the load list as well, because sometimes you always need to go in and just use your own experience or knowledge to make changes. So let's say we need 15 walls instead of the 22, and now it's been updated straight away, and that will also be reflected on the load list. And then what's really cool with what we do, like our quotes, you can download the load list as a PDF, print it out, and then give it to the guys, and then they can tick offline scribble their name, or you can give them a digital link. The awesome part about the digital link is they don't need login details to access it. They'll only be able to go on the load list and find all of the job information. They can't go on anything else on your account. And you can put that into a WhatsApp group or an email group and say, hey, this is where we're going tomorrow. This is what needs to be loaded tonight. And then they just, as long as they've got a smartphone or an iPad, they can click onto that and then view and access everything online. Benefit of that is A, you're saving on paper waste, and also you're making things a lot more efficient. And also what's kind of cool is if you have a new member of staff who doesn't know what a base plate looks like, for example, they can click on an image or even a Chivari chair. They can click on the image before they load it. I'm going to go into this load list now, which is the quote I did for that festival type event with multiple marquees. And I'm going to look at this in the marquee view. Okay, so here we've got 4 times giant hat, all the components and items that are going into that tent. Then we've got the entrance tent, and again, all the items and components needed for that tent. Bar tent, food tent, well, we're at foot, I meant food tent, and all the items and components that go into that one. So this is a great view for jobs with multiple marquees that are getting put up over multiple days. Put it into this view, print it out, or give them the link, and then your staff can just load the vehicles really efficiently. Okay, the very last thing we're going to go through, which is a very small feature, which is very useful, and that is a delivery note. And again, all your contact information, delivery details will be on, and it's basically the quote without prices, but at the bottom, you've got a section that your customers and staff can sign to say everything's been delivered as well as collected. So there's quite a lot of other things that we haven't shown on the demo, but just for speed and for this to not go on for 10 hours, we've gone through the main core features. If you want to see more, please get in touch. And if you'd like a demo that's a bit more based around your company, your tents, please let us know. And also, if you do a lot more than tents, or if you do less than tents and maybe just do generator hire or so on, the system is still going to work for you. It works for every single hire or rental product you can think of. Like I said a little bit earlier, we can create your account in less than a week, and that includes migrating all of your data across, allocating components to all your tents, doing your stock rules, doing your quote design, and also uploading all of your customers onto the system, as well as their quotes, their invoices, and so on. So in less than a week, or less than in 2 weeks rather, because then that gives us another week of training and support, you could be fully moved over onto your new system, all set up and ready for when the season starts to kick off again. So if you want to find out more about how we do that, please get in touch. You can find all of our information at marqueetech.io, or you can send an email straight to info@marqueetech.co.uk or straight to me, tim@marqueetech.co.uk. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I really, really look forward to hearing from you.